rgea members and guests. Welcome to today's webinar, Social Security Summer Checkup 2026, presented by Heather Burkhardt, Associate State Director for Outreach and Advocacy in the Triangle area. I am Daryl Davis Fulmer and honored to be your host for today's Lunch and Learn. We would like to thank Tracy Eubanks as well as Cindy Christian for their technical support and Tim O'Connell, RGEA's Executive Director. You will hear from him soon for joining us today. We appreciate your choosing to be a member of RGEA as we are collectively stronger with you on our rolls. Now, we will hear from Tim, who will give us a very brief association update.
All right. Okay, you said very brief, like you really
I
meant it,
did.
Daryl. Okay, I caught that. Hey,
Yeah, I was trying to go fast.
I hear you. Hey, I am Tim O'Connell. I have the pleasure of being the executive director for this great association. I want to thank you for your membership, and I want to thank you for the difference you made with your service in state and local government. It makes a difference. Public service matters, and I thank you for that. Um, I, I want to begin with a couple things here. We've got some things happening that I think you should know about. One is something that happens 4 times a year. It is the quarterly pension trustees meeting. It's Elders and Teasers. They're going to be meeting on July 30th. This meeting, if you are in Raleigh, I always say, please come sit with me. If you're outside the area and still want to participate, the treasurer's office does put a link out there that you can actually listen in and participate. If you sign up in advance, you can even make public comment. So I want you to know about that, but we are at every single one of those meetings because some really important information gets shared at those meetings, and we are there to represent you. The thing I'm most looking forward to at this upcoming meeting is they're going to be sharing the second quarter reports on investment earnings. We are hearing very positive numbers on that. And at the moment, I don't want to speak too far in advance, but we are tracking towards hitting the benchmark numbers for COLAs or bonuses in 2027. And it's been a long time coming. Treasurer Briner has done some great work there. And we are just honored to be, working with Treasurer Briner in this area because he's made some real differences. And when I say real differences, it's things that I want you to be able to see in your wallet and your purse. And he's working towards that. So very appreciative there. You probably have heard a lot of what's going on right now in healthcare, on the state health plans and all that. The best source is really going to the state health plan website. I'm going to give you the headlines, but also Daryl has put a great program together. I'm going to let her tell you about coming up on this as well. But go to the health plan website for information if you need it. That's the state health plan website. We'll drop it in. I'll drop it into the chat so you all can see it. But the important thing on this is if you are on an Advantage plan, all those things you're hearing about Premier and Primary and Preferred, providers in this, that does not apply to you. That is for folks that are in the active plan, and that is for folks who have retired and have not yet qualified for Medicare. So just know that when you're hearing a lot about all these different network changes and things like that, that is referring to those folks who have not yet qualified for Medicare. One thing you're also hearing is Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to be back as the third-party administrator for that plan. That is for the actives and for the Medicare plan, but the Humana Advantage plan is still going to be the same Humana Advantage plan if you're under that. If you are in local government, you definitely want to be tuning into the program Daryl's going to share a little bit more about. The SHIP program, we're going to have some folks, some expertise there. But for local government, please be sure to tune in to that webinar coming up so you get that information. The final thing I want to share with you, actually two final things, is one, Living Power magazine should be in your mailbox. If you haven't, go out and check your mailbox. I just got mine over the weekend. Good information in there. It was great. We actually honored those who kind of raised, nurtured, and protected North Carolina's children as part of their careers. That's teachers, and that's the folks that worked in the cafeterias, did all the great work to raise up North Carolina's children. Good information, good stories. and important stuff around your pension plans and things like that. And also in the health plan, there's a message from the executive director of the health plan there as well. The last thing, final thing is on September 21st, we will be in New Bern for our conference. It's going to be another great conference. Sign up is going to start next week. We'll get the links out. And if you are either in the New Bern area or want to put together a little an overnight trip, New Bern's a great place to vacation. We hope to see you at that conference. So that's my news. And I hope that was very brief, Daryl.
It was, Tim. Thank you so much. And just to share with everyone, the SHIP presentation will be on September 23rd. So put that on your calendars. It will be a lunch and learn, so they'll start at 12:30 to 1:30. We may run it a little longer in case there's additional information, but we will have good information for you on that day in preparation for the open enrollment period that begins in October. So thanks, Tim, for that plug as well. So before we begin the webinar, I have a few items to cover. Each of you has been muted to help ensure the presenter can be heard. The presentation is being recorded. That's a question often asked of us. We will send you the link to the recording along with a PowerPoint in our follow-up email and maybe a couple of handouts or resources that perhaps have links. For those of you who sent questions in with your registrations, we submitted them to Heather already, and she may have already incorporated those in her presentation. However, if you think of a question before the presentation, please use the Q&A. I already saw one or two questions in there before we got started, so we'll take a look at those. You use the button at the bottom of the Zoom page in case you don't know where it is, and we will respond to the questions as they come in and or during the Q&A period. Now, a little bit about our presenter today, Heather Burkhardt, who I have known since 2020. We both came to work around the same time in the field of aging. She's been working in the trenches to ensure that aging issues and concerns are addressed and that our quality of life is stable. She has over 25 years of experience working with older adults and their caregivers, spanning both the nonprofit and state government sectors. Throughout her professional career, she has provided leadership among aging advocates, cultivated relationships with community partners, as well as state and local officials. She is indeed a trusted partner and a dedicated soldier for aging citizens of North Carolina. I know she helped me tremendously when I came on board with RGA during COVID, actually. So thank you, Heather, for being here today and welcome.
Thank
So
you,
take it
Daryl.
away. You're
All
welcome.
right. Oh, it's great to be here, and I appreciate the invitation so much. You guys are a great organization, and we are aligned in many ways, and so it's a treat for me to spend time with you. And that New Bern conference sounds great. So it's summertime. We're talking about Social Security. And I know it's, kind of a clunky topic, but we are going to try to make it as fun as we can. Like Daryl said, I'm with AARP North Carolina. We have a office here in Raleigh, and we have outreach and education folks across the state of North Carolina working with you. So today we've got a lot of topics we're going to hit on, and I know in terms of your membership, you're a wide variety. Some of you may have been getting Social Security for years and are experts on it, where some of you also are, still trying to weigh, when do I enroll? So we're going to try to keep it engaging. We are grateful that you're checking in this summer, and let's go ahead and get started. So over the course of this our time together, what I want to do is talk about just what is Social Security, the basics for those of you who maybe not getting your payments yet. Talk about what those full, early, and delayed retirement payments mean, what that looks like. What if you choose to continue working? How does that impact Social Security? And then what about the future of Social Security? There's a lot on the news on any given day about Social Security. And so what do you need to know about that and resources? So Let's go ahead and get started. We've incorporated some questions in here to get people thinking about Social Security. I'm going to start it off with what maybe is an easy question for folks, but when was Social Security signed into law? Was it A, 1929, B, 1935, C, 1945, or D, 1965? So the poll's up. You should be able to see the question and put in your choice. So we'll take a few minutes for everybody to take your best guess of when Social Security was signed into law. All right. Will the results come up, I'm hoping, in a minute? All right, we've got 40% saying 1935, and that is correct. So the answer is B. The Social Security Act was signed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt on August 14th, 1935. So I'll say that the taxes collected first started in January 1937, and then those regular ongoing payments started in January 1940. So it took a while to get it up and running, but the law was started in 1935. And this August 14th, Social Security will be having the 91st anniversary of the program. So little fun fact for you, and we'll have a couple more of those through our time together. So in terms of the basics of Social Security, and we said that it was created in 1935. And so when we think about what was going on in 1935, this was really the aftermath of the 1929 stock market crash and the Great Depression. Social Security was really based on the concept of being a social insurance, which means that all workers contribute to a central trust fund and managed by the government. That's really important to understand. So almost everyone contributes to Social Security Trust Fund, and Social Security taxes are called FICA, which stand for Federal Insurance Contribution Act. And it's that tax paid by employees and employers that funds Social Security and Medicare. The current tax rate for Social Security is 6.2 for both the employer and the employee. So the total taxes is 12.4%. Usually teenagers get a real eye-opening experience when they get their first paycheck, right? They've done the math, what their hours, what their salary is, and then they learn about FICA. So think about your first job and when you paid into Social Security, what that job was. And, it's a promise made at a very early age, Social Security, and it's done through payroll. So to be eligible to collect retirement payments, a worker must have worked at least 10 years or 40 credits and paid into Social Security. Social Security Trust Fund is used to provide payments to individuals, and Social Security was always intended to be a safety net to provide some income. It was never intended to be the only source of income. But despite this, we know many recipients are using Social Security to get by day. I want to give you a quick picture of what it looks like Social Security today and who's receiving Social Security. So nationally, about 1 in 5 Americans depends on Social Security. This includes all types of people. And in North Carolina, it equates to 1.3 million beneficiaries. And 50% of those beneficiaries rely on at least half their income. Social Security is about half their income, which is higher than the national percentage. And it lifts over 500,000 seniors out of poverty in our state. But it also injects a large amount of money. So there's an economic factor for Social Security. In North Carolina, communities across our state are getting about $50 billion injected into their local economies because of Social Security, whether it's healthcare, whether it's buying grandkids birthday presents or paying rent and utility bills. This money matters to our state. And that's one of the important reasons, not that Social Security is not just important for beneficiaries, but for everybody in a community. So let's go to poll question number two. I'm getting ahead of myself. Which of these groups may qualify for Social Security? I'm hoping that this is another easy one for you guys. Retired workers, B, certain spouses and surviving family members, C, some children, or D, all of the above. Put in your answer and hit submit, and we will see if folks are going to get it right. 100%, all of the above. Woohoo! Way to go. This is a great summer checkup. All right, you are right, all of the above. And so how does that break down when we think about Social Security as a program? So nearly a little over 75% are retired workers. So 3/4 of the programs are retired workers. Little over 10% are people with disabilities, disabled workers. Then we've got spousal survivors, which are at 8.3% of beneficiaries. And then 5.5 of those beneficiaries nationwide are children. So for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to talk primarily about retired workers and spousals and survivors. But I think it's important that people realize that this is a critical program for people for a variety of different reasons. So when can you claim retirement is an important individual decision. Each person must look at their own unique situation. You can choose to receive your payment as early as 62, but your monthly payment amount will be reduced by as much as 30%. And the important thing to remember is that this reduction is permanent. This includes any survivor payments your family may be eligible for. It's also important to consider how that decision is important to anyone who might collect on your record as well. Then in the second column, you can receive your full retirement amount, or FRA, at your normal or your full retirement age, which is somewhere between 66 and 67, depending on your birth year. And you get 100% of the payment if you claim at your full retirement age. Folks can also delay your payment beyond your full retirement age, and this increases your payment amount by about 8% a year up to age 70. We're going to look at some of these numbers later, but it really can pay to wait. But folks need to know they have options. So when is exactly your full retirement age? Your full retirement age gradually increases to 67 based on when you were born. You can check the year of your birth in the left column and then match it to the corresponding full retirement age in the right column. So, for example, if you were born in 1956, your full retirement age is 66 and 4 months. And here's our example of the impact of when you decide. So if we look at your claiming age, it really does affect the amount that you can receive. In this example, let's assume that the individual claimed their full retirement age, which for them is 66, and their full payment amount is $1,900 per month. So it's that gray column in the middle. If this person had decided to collect payments at age 62, their monthly payment would have been $1,425. But if they waited till age 70, their monthly payment would have been $2,508. So deciding when to claim is a personal decision, and only you can make that decision. You need to consider factors such as your health, your savings, expenses, and how that decision will impact others. Remember, though, the impact of claiming age isn't just on your own retirement payment, it also affects survivor payments for your family members who may receive them beyond you. Woo. All right, so now we're talking about Social Security payments. We had our little example, but do you know the average monthly Social Security payment in 2026? The first would be A, 2,450, B, 400, C, 1,256, or D, 2,083. Now, this is going to be the average. So take your guess, and we'll see. All right. The answer is actually D, $2,083. So you guys had a good guess, but it's D. And so that actually levels out to be about almost $25,000 per year. It's 24,996 per year. So for most people, this money's really important. It covers their living expenses, their bills. They've worked hard for it. And as you know, there was a COLA this year, and that was 2.8%. So maybe that's what threw you off. And yeah, so let's see if we get this one, Social Security question number 4. For most retirees, Social Security payments deposit on what day? Is it A, Monday, B, Friday, C, Wednesday, or D, Sunday? Wednesday is right. See, Wednesday, 85%. You guys knew that one. Well done. All right. So one thing to keep in mind when you're estimating the amount you'll receive from Social Security is the cost of living adjustment, or the COLA. Each year, that amount you receive from Social Security will be adjusted to account for inflation. Like I said, in 2026, that cost of living was 2.8%, and that works out to be about $56 monthly raise for the average Social Security retirement payment. Additionally, it's important to consider that currently there's a wage cap on tax earnings. And so in 2026, that means workers only pay FICA taxes on the first $184,500 of their income. If you have more than one job, your employers will be required to withhold that FICA taxing. So you'll have to request a refund for any taxes paid on income above the wage cap when you file for your taxes. And to give you a little glimpse on the COLA, AARP's done some research and just recently relieved that they're projecting that the 2027 COLA is projected to be 3.6%. That'll be finalized in October and is based on the Consumer Price Index, but a little hope for 2027. Now, before you claim your Social Security payments, before your full retirement age, you should know that you can claim early and you can continue to work, and many people choose to do this. You may be subject to what's known as the Social Security earnings limit. In this scenario, your payment will be reduced by $1 for every 2 that you earn above the earnings limit. This increases in the months prior to reaching your full retirement age, and your payments are then reduced by $1 for every 3 you earn above the limit. Note that these limits adjust with inflation yearly. In 2026, the Social Security earnings limit was $24,480 for people who have not reached the full retirement age, and $65,160 for people who reached full retirement age during that year. However, if you claim Social Security retirement payment before your full retirement age and keep working, some of the payment reduction will be returned to you in the form of a higher monthly payment after you receive your full retirement age. Once you reach your full retirement age, the earning limit no longer applies. If you don't have enough for Social Security credits to get payments on your own record, or your own retirement payment is small, you may be eligible to receive payments as a spouse. It's important to note that if both you and your spouse are eligible for Social Security payments on your own records, Social Security will pay whichever amount is higher, but not both. Eligible spouses are generally receive 50% of eligible workers' full retirement age payment amount. Even if the working spouse collects early, the spousal payment will still be a portion of the worker's full retirement age payment. If you are still married, you can file for your spousal payments once working spouse has filed for their own payments. You must be married for at least 1 year and 62 years of age or older. You can claim at any age if you are caring for a child under 60 or a child with a disability who's entitled to payments of the spousal record. Ex-spouses can also receive payments on your former spouse's records. You must have been married at least 10 years. Ex-spouses can file at any time beginning at age 62. That's important. And you don't need to notify their ex-spouses about that they have been filed. Social Security doesn't notify them, and you don't need to notify them. Eligible ex-spouses can generally receive 50% of eligible workers' full retirement age payment amount. Even if former spouses collect early, that ex-spouse payment can still be a portion of the former spouse's full retirement age payments. So ex-spousal payments do not affect the ex-spouse payment amount, nor the payment amount of a new spouse should they be remarried. If you're eligible to receive payments as an ex-spouse record, if your ex-spouse receives his or her own Social Security payments or is at least 62 and has been a divorce for at least 2 years. You have to be at least 62 years old, and you must not have been remarried. It's important to note that if you and your ex-spouse are eligible for Social Security payments on your own records, Social Security will pay out the amount, which is higher. It's getting to be a theme, but not both of them at the same time. So in the event of a spouse's death, let's talk about survivor payments. A survivor can collect up to 100% of the payment of the deceased who is receiving or would receive in the future. This will include any delayed retirement credits the deceased earned. However, it will also include the reduction if the deceased spouse claimed early. Survivor payments can be claimed as early as age 60 and age 50 if disabled, but they will be reduced. They can also be claimed at any age if the survivor is caring for an entitled child. Dependent parents may also be able to collect if deceased parent can show that they relied on that child for at least half of their support. Ex-spouses may be eligible for their former spouse was at least 60, 50 to 59 if disabled. They were married for at least 10 years and have not remarried unless they remarried after 60. Survivor payments are only reduced based on when the survivor payment itself is claimed. In many situations, a surviving spouse can continue collecting on their own record to allow the survivor payments to grow until they reach their full retirement age. The survivor is still subject to earnings limit if they haven't reached full retirement and choose to continue to work. Let's spend a minute to talk about how remarrying impacts survivor payments. If you remarry before the age of 60, 50 if disabled, then you can't receive survivor payments while you are married. If you remarry after age 60, 50 if you're disabled, then you continue to qualify for payment based on your deceased spouse record. However, if the current or new spouse is a Social Security beneficiary, you may want to apply the spouse's payment on his or her record if that amount is more than your widow's or widower's payment. You will receive a combination of payments that equals the higher amount. For anybody who hasn't applied for Social Security, here is the basic way to get in touch with them. There's several ways that you can do that. but always apply up to 4 months prior to when you want to begin receiving your payment. We just blew through a lot of ways that people will qualify for Social Security, but you can go online by creating and logging into my Social Security account through the login.gov, which is useful for several things. I've got another slide that goes through all the different things you can do once you establish that my Social Security account. But also go to their website if you have questions about any of those things. They have their 1-800 number, 1-800-772-1213, and that they operate Monday through Friday, 8 to 7, your local time. They also have TTY number for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And you can also make appointments and go in person, so that ssa.gov/locator is the way that you can find the Social Security office that's close to you. I do want to take a minute to mention the Social Security Fairness Act of 2025. This act repeals 2 provisions, the windfall elimination provision, or WEP, and the government pension offset, GPO. These provisions previously reduced Social Security payments for individuals who also received a pension from jobs not covered by Social Security, such as teachers, firefighters, police officer. And this new law impacts approximately 3 million current retirees across the country. This 3 million retirees, it also includes their spouses, their ex-spouses, surviving spouses. And if you worked in the public sector like you guys have and received a pension, you are likely affected by this change. So the law is retroactive to January 1st, 2024, meaning that all eligible recipients will receive back payments from 2024, and their Social Security payments will be adjusted to include an increased payments going forward. Social Security Administration and Congress are still in the process of determining how to finalize the payment increases. So for right now, if you believe that you're eligible to receive this increase in payments, there's 2 things that you should do. 1, update your information. Ensure that your mailing address, your direct deposit information is updated with Social Security Administration. And 2, set up that My Social Security account at login.gov. If you've already have the My Social Security account, monitor it and update it for Social Security Administration's updates about that increase. Now, we've gone through quite a bit of information, so let's take a quick breather and have a poll question. This one's a little different and not so much about Social Security, but as the Social Security Administration. What popular list does Social Security Administration release every year? Is it A, America's favorite retirement cities, B, most popular dog names, or C, top baby names? Why don't you plug in your answer? And the answer is C, top baby names. So retirement cities would be nice to know, but if you think about it, Social Security, everybody who gets born gets a name and a Social Security number, so they have access to baby names. And if you go on their website, you can view the top baby names by the year and the decade and even by state. So in 1974, the name Heather was the 4th most popular girl's name. So it's kind of a nice fun fact. Now let's talk a little bit more about the future of Social Security. Right now, Social Security is in good shape overall. However, according to the most recent Social Security Trustees report in June 2025, the 2 Social Security trust funds that act as the reserves for the program will be depleted in 2034. So that means after the year 2034, Social Security will not be able to pay, will only be able to pay 81% of what they're paying out now. So That means if things do not change in the way the current law is written, everybody who is receiving Social Security or will receive Social Security would see an almost 20% gap in what the payments were. Policymakers have to act to address the future of Social Security shortfalls. And the longer they wait, the harder it's going to be. So it's really important that as we face this 2026 election cycle, the future of Social Security is on the line. And the decisions made by those elected this year will have real consequences for Americans. So 2034 is not that far away. And if we look at who's going to be elected in November, particularly those who are in Congress who have 6-year cycles, they are going to be the ones who need to make this decision. I will note AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We don't endorse candidates. We don't have a PAC. We really focus on the issues. And Social Security is one of our bread and butter issues. And so we're fighting to protect Social Security. And we're encouraging people, particularly older voters, to make sure that those elected officials know how important Social Security is for you. Social Security has several options to address with the program for their long-term financial challenges. For example, here are just 5 potential solutions that could make sure Social Security can pay out 100% of the earned payments that we're eligible for generations to come. Potentially eliminating or raising the wage cap. They could look at increasing the payroll tax rate, reducing payments for higher income earners, and raise the full retirement age, or utilize other funding besides the trust fund. So there are some options that can be looked at, and we need a bipartisan solution to make that happen. If you're interested in learning more about any of those options, take a look at the website of the organizations on the screen, the Council for Economic Education and the American Academy of Actuaries. Go to those websites and learn more about how they can find solutions. But I would encourage you to make your voice heard as a voter on Social Security and listen to what's being said and make sure that those candidates know that Social Security is an important issue for you. Now, as we wrap up, I've got some information about some resources for you. If there are situations that we didn't touch on or you want more information, but by and large, the Social Security Administration is a great resource for you. I encourage everybody to get an account. Anybody who's 18 and older can get a My Social Security account. It's great to apply for benefits, but also make sure that you're adding new addresses, that your direct deposit's correct. You can get your tax forms, you can look at your record earnings, and you can do your benefit estimates as well. So it really you do not have to be drawing Social Security to get that account or to apply. We encourage people of all ages really to go in there, even if they're not even close to retirement, to go in and check your earnings and see what your benefits estimates are. And this QR code will take you to that website, the ssa.gov/my account. These slides are going to be shared afterwards too. So, and I know this recording will be put on the website. So AARP has a large amount of resources as well. We have the latest news. We have expert claiming advice at aarp.org/social security. We also have an estimate your payments at aarp.org/SS calculator. And then you can learn more about joining the AARP fight for Social Security and sign up to get updates at aarp.org/protect Social Security. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I haven't had a chance to look at the questions online.
We have a
let's go ahead.
few. I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Heather, okay, so let me start here then. All right, just for clarification, if reached full retirement age, can earn 65,160 for 2026 with no penalty
If you're
if they reach Full
If
retirement
you've
age.
reached that age and you're going to continue to work, yes.
No penalty. All right. Uh, do you need ex-spouse's social security number to collect? To collect on spouse's social security.
That's a good question. I'll find out for you. Um, Not having claimed Social Security and gone through the ex-spouse, I'm not sure how they look that up. Um,
Okay.
but it's got to be linked somewhere. It may be that you have to bring in the appropriate paperwork like your marriage license but let's find out. My guess is it's going to be on the Social Security Administration website, but that's a great question.
Okay. And if you find it out before we send out the
Yep.
follow-up, we can maybe put it there so
A lot of
everyone
people
can.
don't know about the ex-spouse claiming. I know I had an aunt, and when she went to apply for her Social Security and she was divorced, found out she could draw on her husband's, and it made a real big difference for her
Mhm.
because she stayed at home with her kids growing up, and he was the main breadwinner of the family. Yeah.
Right, you can make a big difference. All right, so another, please clarify. A married couple both qualify on their own for Social Security retirement benefits. At their full retirement age, will they both receive their benefits, or the married couple only receives one monthly benefit, the larger amount, but the second person's benefit is never received? Question.
They will, if the question is, are they both going to get checks separately? They'll
Yes.
both get checks separately.
Mhm. So they don't, it won't be one
It won't be
combined
combined into one
fund.
household.
Right. I can see
You
how
are an
that's,
individual beneficiary and you will get your own individual beneficiary payment.
I think that's important because a lot of people hear, well,
Uh,
it can be confusing.
It can be
Yeah.
confusing. And, even if you're drawing your payment from your spouse, or that spouse change, your amount may change, but like after they decease, but you'll still be getting your own. It's your own payment.
Okay.
It's the
So
calculation on the back end that's based on their work history and their what they paid in that will change after they pass away, but you'll still be getting your own.
payment.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. Okay. So I guess what people need to know is that they will have to apply for this, correct?
You have to apply. You have
Yeah.
to apply individually. It's for you, and it's the basis of the payment when we talk about if it was based on your spouse's earnings or your ex-spouse's earnings, but it's still your payment. It's your benefit.
Okay. Okay. So let me see if I can read this one. Can an ex-spouse collect from a deceased ex Social Security if they pass away? And let me read it further. I know that they can decide to collect the higher. My brother was married for 20 years and said his ex-wife cannot receive his Social Security. Maybe there are two questions in there. Maybe to deal with one about if they pass
Yeah.
away first. Can an
I'll,
ex-spouse
I'll
collect from a deceased ex Social
spouse.
Security? Yeah, if they pass away.
Yeah, I hesitate to say yes, but I think the answer is yes.
Hmm.
But I want to go back to guidance from Social Security. These are complicated situations, and I don't want to give wrong, inaccurate information.
Okay.
Um, it may be, though, that once that deceased ex-spouse is then it's classified as a survivor. Um, but I don't have 100% on that. So I really want to check the Social Security on that one before I give an answer. Um, but the second part that you read, where they said they couldn't claim the Social
Right.
Security, I
Yeah.
wonder if it's due to age because you have to be 62 in some of those circumstances. So maybe the reason why that they're saying that you can is based on more of the age of the person trying to make the claim.
Or the person doesn't know
Yeah.
that that it's out there. Who knows? I don't know. We need more information, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
to
if the
answer
brother,
that
they were
question.
married for more than 10 years, it says, she
Yeah,
says it's, the 20 years. But I wonder what
yeah.
I think there's a hang up there that there must be a reason. And then my
Right.
guess is they've gone to the Social Security office already. And all right,
Maybe. Yeah, we don't have enough. I guess we don't have enough information to fully
on this
answer
one,
that
yeah.
one. Yeah. I have another question about ex-spouse's social security number of a deceased ex-spouse. So maybe a lot of people don't keep each other's social security numbers. So Social Security must have a way to kind
To
of
do
route that,
that.
maybe through taxes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, let's find that out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
But
one.
I know they don't notify the individual. If you're collecting from an ex-spouse, you don't have to notify them and they don't, it's not like they get pinged at like, guess what? Your ex-wife is drawing on your account. They can't,
Yeah.
they don't do that. You don't have to give permission or anything like that. So I know sometimes, you may not be in communication with that ex-spouse for decades before you retire. So
Yeah.
um, let's find out that Social Security question, and I will get back to you guys.
Okay, that sounds good. So I have another one too. Some of these may be more detailed than we can deal with today, but can you receive and apply for disability benefits and still receive your Social Security benefits to supplement the living expenses and bills? Can you receive both?
Not at the same time. So, what will happen is if you are not of retirement age and you're receiving Social Security through disability, um, you will receive that until then your full retirement age of 65, or if you choose to do Social Security at 62 early, and then it will change over. So you're never going to get both at the same time. You will eventually, when you get to retirement age, flip over from disability um, to retirement status. Now, some people who get Social Security disability may also get SSI or supplemental insur an additional
Hmm.
payment from SSI, but that's a whole different program. But you're not going to be able to get your disability payment and your retirement payment at the same time. And for some people, um, the numbers will change once they get to that retirement status.
Okay. So then the other question I have here, and I'll check back to see if there are any more, but is it safe to check your Social Security statement online?
Absolutely. So the Social Security Administration website is fully secure from the login and all the information that's in there. So because it holds things like your social security number and your direct deposit number, being able to function on that social security website, you should not hesitate and feel like it's fine to check your social security statement online.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
fully
and I think
secure.
we want to encourage people to go. I use it, the SSA.gov, and I find it very useful for all kinds of information around my Social Security benefits.
I do. I mean, I don't draw Social Security yet, but I go in every year and check at what my benefits could be. I do it with my financial planning. I pull off what my earnings were and what in planning for retirement. So I find it very useful, not even as a retiree on Social Security yet.
Right, exactly. So someone has written, it's an anonymous attendee, when I applied for Social Security, I had to enter my ex-spouse's Social Security number on the application.
Okay, that's helpful
Oh,
to know.
well, I don't remember doing that.
I mean, I know they do screen if you say that you're divorced, how they ask questions about how long you were married, things like that. That's part of
Yeah.
the screening because the folks who
Oh,
work at Social Security Administration, they want you to get the highest possible
yeah.
Social Security payment that you can. So they do
Okay, so
screen
that
for
makes
things like that.
okay, that makes sense. And so I don't at this point have I'm looking through to see if there are any more let me see. You if it needs Oh, will your retirement benefit be reduced if an ex-spouse claims a benefit on your record?
It will not. And if you had five people claiming on your record, if you married five people for 10 years each, it would still not impact your payment.
The
So
Social Security payment.
yeah, your Social
Yeah.
Security payment is your Social Security payment. And if other people are drawing on it, it still will not impact your monthly amount. Good
Okay.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good question. All right, those are the questions that I see that I saw that came through. So, Heather, I really want to thank you for joining us today and giving us such valuable information and encouraging us to be on the lookout and the watch out and to use our voice to talk about the future of Social Security. It's an important entity for all of us. And so we need Social Security to be whole. That's all I can say about it. So
Yeah.
thank you for giving us the history and the background and asking some fun poll questions to give us some enlightenment about what Social Security is all about. I'm sure there may be other questions as people think about it. So for anyone who does think about it, and you have a question, if you would like to send that question to me, I will then forward that question to Heather for to seek the answer, and then we'll also try to get an answer to the one question that we talked about a little earlier before we send out the follow-up information. But speaking of that, you should receive that in the next day or so, along with the link and the PowerPoint and some resource information that Heather will provide. Um, so I want to also encourage you to complete the survey that will come out in the follow-up information. We need to have that information back by next Monday, and that information is very important to us as we continue to provide these webinars because we want to make sure that all of you are informed and educated and aware of things that are going on. And while I'm at it, Tim, I'd like to thank you as well as our government relations person for all the Jackson Kozort for all the work that you all have been doing to help us stay abreast of what's happening in North Carolina with regards to retirement issues and health issues and other issues as well. So before we leave today, I'd like to note the next Lunch and Learn webinar will be held on Wednesday, August 12th. I was getting ready to say April, but August 12th at 12:30, and it's entitled My Chart and Other Patient Portals, Managing Your Health Online. You know, there are plenty of questions about how safe this is, and it is safe to manage your health online. And most of our doctors are going to that. Most of the hospitals are already using some kind of portal to keep your health information there, and you need to know what's there. And it will be presented by RJ Reyes, and he's the co-founder and CEO of Gold, which is called Growing Older Living Digitally. And this session will help you better understand the importance of using the health portals and help you better understand how to use them. Hospital systems use different portal names, but most work in similar ways, and you'll leave knowing how to make yours work for you. And please register for that webinar by Sunday, August 9th. I want to remind you again to be on the lookout for the September 23rd webinar regarding Medicare, and other health changes that are coming about in North Carolina. So you'll be ready for open enrollment beginning in August. Thank you all for joining us today. And as always, the association stands ready to assist you in your retirement. Happy Wednesday and enjoy your day. Take care, everybody.